Police did an exemplary job of de-escalating the situation, keeping the extremists on both sides separated for the most part, and preventing people who wanted to engage in acts of violence from confronting each other.
That's Portland's mayor praising police for keeping protests peaceful over the weekend. Far-right groups and far-left members of Antifa held dueling demonstrations in that city on Saturday. Gabriel Nadales is a field coordinator for the Leadership Institute and also a former member of Antifa. Gabriel, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
What do you think about what the Portland mayor had to say there?
Well, it's obvious that he's in damage control. It's all a PR stunt to him. I like how he said that for the most part. Well, for the most part, let's look at what the most part is. If you look at those examples, there were Antifa members trying to pull people out of a bus to try to beat them up. And then there was another incident where this gentleman, who allegedly was not there for any political purposes, he was just trying to take pictures, they were harassing him, throwing things at him, and they threw his American flag on the floor. And this is just what Antifa is. Antifa is not for something. They're against anything that they don't like.
Andy No, who is the conservative journalist who's had his own run-ins with Antifa in the past, said this on Fox and Friends this morning about that whole incident.
And I know the mayor described the event as peaceful, but I mean, his metric is basically looking to see if anybody was killed. Nobody was killed, but there were a lot of people who were injured, maced, beaten, mobbed. I mean, there were Antifa people who had come prepared with slabs of concrete. A lot of damage can happen before somebody's killed.
So if you're setting the bar at, nobody being killed, and that makes a successful police action, I suppose that's a pretty low bar.
It is a low bar. And unfortunately, we have to be more proactive about fighting against Antifa. Antifa shows you that they don't care if there's police there. Remember, there was 1,000 officers there, 1,000 officers, and they couldn't contain Antifa. It just shows you that we need action at the federal level. We need to classify Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization.
Well, the president has said that he's doing that. Let me read you a tweet from the president. He says, major consideration is being given to naming Antifa an organization of terror. Portland is being watched very closely. Hopefully the mayor will be able to properly do his job. Did the mayor get the job done, do you think?
Honestly, no. He definitely, on Friday, I was praising him, saying that he was actually taking Antifa seriously, but it shows you that Antifa is a bigger threat than for one city to handle. We really need action at the federal level. Well,
you're a former member. You joined the group, back in 2010? Why?
Well, Antifa sounds good. Antifa stands for anti-fascism, and I joined thinking I was going to be doing something good. Unfortunately, once you get into Antifa and you start realizing that what they're doing is not right, they're trying to hurt people, they're trying to harass people. And the reason I left Antifa was because I started asking questions, and as soon as I asked questions, they started harassing me. Meanwhile, the reason I became a conservative is because I met someone from the Leadership Institute who, when I asked questions, instead of him harassing me, he would just be really interested and just, respond to them. And thankfully, I now work for the Leadership Institute, and my job is to help conservative students around the country and help them how to defend themselves against Antifa and against liberal bias on college campuses.
When you look at some of the video from this, Portland riot and from others, it seems like Antifa just becomes their license for thuggery.
Yeah, when you hide behind a black mask, it just makes you, it gets you part of this mob mentality. Unfortunately, this is not going to stop unless we take Antifa seriously and we declare a domestic terrorist organization.
Well, as we mentioned, the president says he is keeping an eye on that possibility. Gabriel Nadales. Gabriel, thank you very much for joining us this morning.